Hey everyone, I've just finished a live stream on Offered Live's Discord channel. The link for the recording should be in the description, where I did a step-by-step breakdown of my toolchain to recreate instance geometry in Unreal Engine by generating all the data in TouchDesigner and sending over position, scale, rotation, and color textures over Spout. And then grabbing those textures and using Unreal Engine's Niagara particle system to recreate the same instance geometry. This video is for those who want to take the shortcut and grab the project files from my Patreon or Gumroad. Links also in the description. I'm going to show what's in the project files and how you can reuse the components and the sets in other projects also. I would like to give a quick shout out to Offered Live. They are the group that develop the live streaming plugin in Unreal, and that allows us basically in this case to stream textures from TouchDesigner to Unreal and also back from Unreal to TouchDesigner. They have a very nice community going on Discord, and they are developing other tools as well. So be sure to check them out. And also downloading the live streaming toolkit should be your first step before opening the project files. Link will be also in the description. But essentially you go to offworld.live, click on free download and select the appropriate version. They have currently one for Unreal Engine 5 also. I'm using this one for 4.27. So you just download and install that. So after you're done installing the Offered Live plugin, you can unzip the TDinstanceUE folder, and inside you will find a TD and a UE folder. I will start the TD project, the store file, and also the Unreal project, this UE project file, oops, this one. And we will need to do still some things in Unreal. For example, we need to open up the Edit Plugins menu, search for Offworld. If you've installed it correctly, this should show up. And you should set this to enabled. If it's not enabled, you will get a prompt to restart Unreal Engine, and the next time you will not have to do this anymore. And also a quick note that we are sending over textures, but the number of textures, the number of instances, sorry, we need to set manually. Unfortunately, I tried some things to get over this, but they did not work. So even though this is the correct number because we have 9,409 instances, this number should be correct when you click on NS instancing system in the world outliner under override parameters. So this is correct, but still we need to update it by writing some other number here and then typing the correct number. And now we have everything set up. So you will have to change this manually every time you change the number of instances in your instance geometry in Touch. This is a quick note. I also want to talk about why you would want to do this, why you would want to use this toolchain. And it comes from a place for me that I just know TouchDesigner much better than Unreal Engine, and you could essentially do a lot of things that you do with particle systems and the instancing geometry in Unreal's Niagara systems. But I just find that TouchDesigner is much snappier in terms of programming these kind of generative visuals, and also there's tons of tools out here that we don't have in Unreal. So it's good to be in both worlds, and good to have the ability to marry these two worlds, these two software. So that's one aspect of it, and the other is that Unreal has obviously a very fleshed out rendering pipeline and lots of cool features, beautiful materials, beautiful environments that you can download and place your wacky instance geometry in. Obviously not in this default case, but there's a lot of good things in Unreal, and you can also, for example, here in the Niagara system, I can add more things to this. For example, I can add the curl noise, just like that. Click on this fix issue and up the strength to, I don't know, 1000. And immediately we have something very cool very quickly, and it's, yeah, thanks to both software's inputs. You can obviously get more crazy with what you want to do. I've literally only just finished developing this this toolchain, so I've not explored everything. What you saw, by the way, this kind of glitching, I don't know why it happens. It seems to only happen when I'm moving my mouse and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope this is just a visual bug in the editor, and only when running the editor. Yeah, just a side note. Let's now have a look at what's going on inside the project files. So let's start with Touch. We have a very simple instance geometry going on. We have a divided box and a noise sop. We convert that to chop, which then we convert to top for the position data. And then we also have a noise here for the color, as well as deriving rotation from that by multiplying everything by 360, and also taking the same noise and multiplying that by a small number for the scale data. I can increase this just to show that things are happening. And then we have this TDinstanceUE tox, which is also next to the project file, so you can reuse this tox in other projects of yours. We could drag these textures onto the respective field, but we can also use the inputs here. And we also have a sender coming from Unreal that we can select here. We can also rename these senders, these Spout senders, but I think you can also just leave it default. I will show a bit later on where to change the sender names inside Unreal so that everything is consistent. But essentially what's going on inside here is some transformation of data, because there's an inherent difference between the coordinate systems in Unreal and in Touch. So in Touch, if you have a look, we have the well, this would be, I guess, the default look. Yeah, we have the x-axis to the right, the positive, the y-axis upwards, yeah, and the positive z-axis towards the camera right now. In Unreal, however, this is different. So we have the y-axis, which would be our x-axis in Touch. In Unreal, the z-axis is looking up instead of y, and also the x-axis is looking away from us instead of the z looking at us. So this difference needs to be dealt with in Touch. So we just do a reorder on all the textures to reorder the channels. And then we also transform in this case, the x-axis, the red axis, by -1 for the rotation and the scale. The position and the rotation. And we also perform some unit conversion between the two systems. So in Unreal, 1 unit is can be thought of as 1 centimeter, while in Touch, at least I think of 1 unit as 1 meter. So we need to multiply the position. We need to scale up the position by 100. This happens in this math, and also scale down the scale, or you can, yeah, optionally scale down the scale if you want with this slider. These are up to you basically, but yeah, I put them here on the parameter window. Then we finally reach the siphon spout out part of the component. Here you should note that we can only send over 16-bit float RGBA textures over Spout, so this will limit our precision. But I will happily take this trade-off, and it's not such a huge bother, I think. And we said also we also need to set the input smoothness and the viewer smoothness to nearest pixel, so there's no interpolation between the pixels when we send them over. That's about the TD project file. You can immediately start playing with it if you don't change the number of instances, of course. I can quickly demonstrate by a twist swap here, let's say, and yeah, cool. And yeah, if we now change the box to a grid, for example, this will work. So we have the same thing going on in Touch and Unreal, but still this is not correct because we still have the high number of instances which we don't actually need. So we need to check the number of pixels that we have here, 400. We set this to 400 and now it's correct, it's actually 400 instances. But when I go back to this box, as you can see now we have only 400 instances, and this is obviously not correct. So I set this back to this high number, which you can also read from the number of pixels here. That's about the TD project file. Now over to Unreal. In Unreal, we've been setting the values in this NS instancing system, Niagara system so far. So this is what you actually put down inside, or what we put down inside our level. So I can also grab a new one here. I could, I guess, use the same textures here. So texture color, I need to select the color here. Texture position, I select position. Texture rotation, I select rotation, and so on. And here we have another, oh, well, that's gone. Yeah, another one of these things. And this could be obviously different textures coming from TouchDesigner. So you just drag one of these NS instancing system objects onto the level. Inside, I will not really go into too much detail what's inside, but basically we are receiving the textures, the Spout textures over Spout using the Offer live streaming toolkit. Here we have the receiver managers. I've put them under this NS instancing system. Here we are setting the input sender name, and then we also have some render targets here under the render targets folder. We have these for color, position, rotation, scale, and also the out that's coming actually from this all cinema cam capture and its sender. So we can right click on this one, pilot it with the WASD, and right click, holding both, holding the right click and navigating. With Q we can go down, with E we can go up. If you want to change the input textures, yeah, I showed you that you can do it in the receiver like that. And if you want to change the output texture sender, go under all cinema capture. There should be a Spout sender manager, and there we set the name text out that we also have in TD, in the TD component. So that's about the setup. You can obviously populate your level with some fancy ray traced scenes. You can grab scenes from the marketplace. I will also show you soon how to do that. But a quick breakdown of actually what's happening inside here, inside the Niagara system. So we have a NE instancing Niagara emitter, where we are setting the number of instances in this spawn burst instantaneous module. The number of instances are coming from the user parameters, and then what's important is this instance sample texture script that basically samples the incoming textures based on the particle ID. So particle ID 0 will get will instance the first pixel of the, in this case, the texture pulse, which is also a user exposed parameter. So if we go into the editor, like that, and see this, so yeah, these are the parameters that we are getting, the texture parameters. So we are sampling those, all those parameters, yeah, the textures. But what's important is that we have to sample the middle of the pixel, because if you sample between two pixels, that will give you some glitches. So we always sample on the very middle of the pixel. This is the math for that. Yeah, and based on the output of this instance sample texture, this sampled color comes out, and we convert that to linear to a vector from linear color RGB and set the position directly. We do a similar thing for the scale here, and a similar thing for the rotation. The only difference here is, let me show it here. The only difference is that Unreal likes to think in quaternions when it comes to orientation, but we are sending over Euler coordinates or Euler rotation from Touch, so we convert that to quaternion in this scratchpad. Then for the color, it's very simple. We just sample the texture color and set the color directly. We can have a sprite renderer or a mesh renderer. What's important here is that if you want to change the geometry obviously you would need to go into the either in the emitter settings or the system settings, go into the mesh renderer and change the geometry to something else that you have in your project. Yeah, that's about the breakdown of what's inside, what's making it tick basically. What else can I say? I think, yeah, I think I said enough. Go play with the, you can play with the Cinecam capture, camera, change the lens setting to something else, or the film back. I like the IMAX, for example. It's very wide FOV. You can also focus. If I click on this little pipette thingy, I don't know what it's called, and click on my object, it will autofocus on that one, like so. It's pretty cool. There's tons of things that you can do in Unreal. As I showed before, enabling the curl noise will give you some cool thing going on. I will try to link some cool channels that deal with Niagara systems to get inspired by. And now I will show you how to use this in a nice environment scene to have the full picture. I will start by copy pasting this UE folder that we've had before. Rename this to something else, UE_scene, for example. Also rename the project _scene, and fire up this project. We will use stuff from the Epic Games store. Let's see if we have the Offer Live plugin enabled. Live streaming, yes, cool, it came enabled. And it has also the instancing stuff, so everything is cool. We can again reset this to the correct value. And we open up Epic Games Launcher, go to the marketplace, and under free Epic Games content, we can find some cool stuff if we search for environment. I've already downloaded this Soul Cave one. I can add this to my project that I have, and it should be _scene1. Yeah, add to project. Open up the project file, and we have the Soul Cave here. So here under maps, I can open up the map. Let's save this, sure. I can open up the Soul Cave map. It's gonna give us some logs. And right now it's not looking so beautiful because it's still compiling the shaders. It's actually off screen where it shows that. But while it's doing that, I'm gonna show you how to set this level as the default. So you go under Edit, Project Settings, you start to search for default, and here Default Maps, Editor Startup Map. I set the Soul Cave one, like so. Save the level, saving the map. We're still compiling, but it's not a problem. And now we need to move over some of our objects from the other level, from the previous default level. So we open it up and copy everything under this instancing folder with Shift click, Control C, and then we go back to our cave level. Sure, save, whatever. Click on this Soul Cave editor and paste it. It seems that we already have something going on, which is cool. Let's see where this is actually. So if we right click on this instancing system object and snap view to object, we see that this is somewhere outside our map. So let's just fly in somewhere interesting. Yeah, this place. Let's fly in and put it down in front of this dude thingy here. So we flew here. I will again right click on this Niagara actor and snap object to view, and now we have it here. Nice. Obviously there's tons of things you can do in Unreal with lighting, and I don't even know what. I'm not really experienced in Unreal, but I will definitely dig into more things. Maybe try to create some of my own environments, especially with Unreal 5 coming. Yeah, this toolchain will also work with Unreal 5. I've tested it more or less, so it should be fine. So now that we have everything set up again in this beautiful scene, we can do whatever we want in Touch. Let's, for the sake of it, do a Kinect point cloud. So depth point cloud. Let's do color point cloud instead, and also put down a color. Fit these down to a smaller resolution so we have less instances or pixels. Let's do 200 by 200. Also for the color we do the same. Great. And let's fit outside. Also here, fit outside. And connect these to our nodes, like so, for example. Great. We need to set the correct number of instances, which would be 40,000. Let's scale everything up with the math after the position data. Let's see where we are now. I'm not entirely sure why things are disappearing sometimes. So just ignore that. Oh yeah, there I am. Whoa, cool. Yeah, probably reduce the scale a bit. Nice. And there I am, looking up there, sort of. So yeah, this is just a quick demonstration of what's possible, or why it's good to have both of these programs running at the same time in tandem. That's about it. So thanks for hanging on, and again, consider joining my Patreon. You can find the project files there, or you can also purchase them on Gumroad. The links are gonna be down in the description below. And I hope you have fun with this one, and I'm very curious what you do with it. I've literally just finished the development of this thing, so I haven't had much chance to play around with it much, but I'm sure I'm gonna do some fun things in the future. Yeah, cool. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, and I hope to see you around.